Okay, hello. Yes, I do not own rights to this video, but I'd like to show you all a little bit of the legend of Prester John, which ultimately came from Yochanan or Yohanan, Yehohanan, whichever way you want to say it, which is just I am gracious. It is also a combination of when Shua was created from when Semitic Asiatic shepherd kings came to Europe, Africa, and created a branch of people called the Hebrews. Then Yeshua has started to form and appear. Now, this is all within around 3000, 2000 BC on all the way down till now. Okay, so, but before all that, this is basically about John the Baptist.
In 1165, copies of a strange letter began to circulate throughout Western Europe. It spoke of a fantastical realm.
Now, I just want to bring up something simple real quick, the allegory of Adam and Eve and the garden. Okay, so John, a man, came out and started doing some stuff with the name. When I say the name, I basically means he came out with awareness, exist, whatever you want to call it. You will have a bunch of civilizations that believe in specific codes, programming, and religion. When I say programming, I'm just talking about psychological constructs. They're living by religion, and then he comes out with a Christ-like mind, saying, I am the way, but doing that with peace, love, kindness, and a sacrificial nature. When I say a sacrificial nature, I'm not talking about, I'm sorry about that. America just can't get enough. But I'm sorry about that as well. But what I was saying was basically how it says that a man was put in the garden, and then a flesh, he was given, from him was taken a rib, and then flesh was created. That's basically talking about how John was the man who did something, and then all of the stuff afterwards, his spirit would be kind of like Adam and the generations of Adam. But then you have different men with wisdom that come and take, and then they are kicked out of the garden of peace away from the prophet, if that makes sense. And so that's why I keep telling you all, you would have a prophet and then the people of a prophet. And then you have the wisdom of people that take from the prophet and then create buffoonery.
Containing the Tower of Babel and the Fountain of Youth, all ruled over by the letter's mysterious author.
Now look, they're saying by a mysterious Prester John, the mysterious King John. But John was the man that was crucified. His name was Yehohanan, and that's an Ethiopian name. They tried to transliterate it in Latin and English and all these other names, just like they tried to do with hieroglyphics and all this other stuff.
Prester John. Today, we know that this
in the Bible, they call him John. In the Quran, I think they call him Isa. In, I think a few people in Judaism are talking about John. I know they are. If you go back and listen to a man named Yochanan ben Yosef or Yochanan ben Zekai or something like that, they have detailed history about this and how stuff was spread through Rome. A man named Josephus, who I call Peter, basically traded sides, a Greek Pharisee, and went into Roman land and gave them a whole new Bible and all this other stuff. Then the Philos of Greek, Paul, Pharisees, the one who created Pharisees, because what this man did was he mixed Socrates, Plato, and all this other stuff, Hermes, that which comes from Hermetic culture from Africa. They mixed it all, he mixed it all into the Torah, and began creating philosophy. People actually tried to fight him on this at first, but then it gained validity.
Ordinary king never existed, but the legend of this mythical kingdom and its powerful ruler would impact the decisions of European leaders for the next 400 years. Prester John's myth would propel the age of exploration, inspire intercontinental diplomacy, and indirectly begin a civil war.
So it brings diplomacy for the ones who they want it for, and then you see how it's starting civil wars amongst these African brethren.
When Prester John's letter appeared, Europe was embroiled in the Crusades. In this series of religious wars, Europeans campaigned to seize what they regarded as the Christian Holy Land. The church vilified any faith outside of Christianity.
Now you see, what I'm trying to explain is the popes and the Romans and all of them took something from ancient people, and when they did that, it started wars and a whole bunch of other stuff. Then when this happened, they spread it through a whole bunch of lands and started calling the Middle East the Levant. I mean, the Middle East or whatever, the Levant, the Holy Land. Now realizing, I think they do realize that Africa is the place where all this civilization stuff started, because they're taking all this African lore. They're going and digging up pyramids and taking civilizations. Even the Semitic people did it. The Hyksos in the ancient times, 1900 BC, and then they did it again and again through Islam and stuff.
Christianity, including that of the Jewish and Muslim communities populating the region. Crusaders were eager to find Christian kingdoms to serve as allies in their war, and they were particularly interested in rumors of a powerful Christian king who had defeated an enormous Muslim army in the Far East. In fact, it was a Mongol horde, including converted Christian tribes, that had routed the army. But news of this victory traveled unreliably. Merchants and emissaries filled gaps in the story with epic poems and biblical fragments.
Epic poems and biblical fragments.
By the time the story reached Europe, the Mongol horde had been replaced with a great Christian army, commanded by a king who shared the Crusaders' vision of marching on Jerusalem. And when a letter allegedly written by this so-called Prester John appeared, European rulers were thrilled.
Because they're going around telling people, if you read Peter, it says Peter grabbed John and they went to a temple, and the boy named Beautiful saw the temple, so looked at Peter and said, look at John, or look at Jesus the Christ. Man.
While the letter's actual author remains unknown, its stereotypes about the East and alignment with European goals indicate it was a Western forgery. But despite the letter's obvious origins as European propaganda, the appeal of Prester John's myth.
I just want to take a second to say this ad right here down here is beautiful. Festival of Trees. That is some beautiful stuff to bless local kids.
Was too great for the Crusaders to ignore.
I do not advocate for them or anything like that. I'm just saying that type of wording is beautiful. Help the children and do things to help others.
Before long, European map makers were guessing the location of his mythical kingdom. In the 13th and 14th centuries, European missionaries went east along the...
Now you see that little mythical map right there that they're using? First of all, the reason that map is circled like that, when people call that flat earth, they make maps like that so you can see the southern hemisphere from the top half. It has nothing to do with being flat. Now this man in the year 2024 is going off of mythical, magical European maps talking about he is from, man.
Newly revived Silk Road. They weren't searching for the letter's author, who would have been over a century old, but rather for his descendants. The title of Prester John was briefly identified
for his descendants. Are you guys not hearing what I'm...
with several Central Asian rulers, but it soon became clear that the Mongols were largely non-Christian, and as their empire began to decline, Europeans
everywhere they spread, it was war and destruction, and they could not find the descendants. Right now, watch this.
And pursuing alternate routes to the Far East and new clues.
Now going all through Africa, taking people subtly on the coast until they hit the gold mine.
To Prester John's location. At the same time these explorers went south, Ethiopian pilgrims began traveling north. In Rome, these visitors quickly attracted the interest of European scholars and cartographers. Since Ethiopia had been converted to Christianity in the 4th century, the stories of their African homeland fit perfectly into Prester John's legend. Portuguese explorers scoured Africa for the kingdom until a mix of confusion and diplomacy finally turned.
The Roman Empire made Christianity in 313. It was really Hellenism. And then in the 400s, Ethiopia are Christians. Like, come on, man, they are spreading people's lores and cultures and mixing it into stuff and then recreating stuff and creating confusion.
Myth into reality. The Ethiopians graciously received their European guests, who were eager to do business with the ruler they believed to be Prester John. Though the Ethiopians were initially confused by the Portuguese's unusual name for their emperor, they were savvy enough to recognize the diplomatic capital it afforded them. The Ethiopian diplomats played the part of Prester John's subjects, and the Portuguese triumphantly announced an
Now you see how it makes it look like the Ethiopians are scheming while the Portuguese are just happy. Like, bro, I cannot make this up.
alliance with the fabled sovereign over 350 years after the European letter had begun the search. But this long-awaited partnership was quickly tested. A decade later, the Sultanate of Adal, a regional power supported by the Ottoman Empire, invaded Ethiopia. The Portuguese
And then the Ottomans invade. You see what I'm saying? Islam and Christianity.
and troops that helped Ethiopians win this conflict. But by this time, it was clear that Ethiopia was not the powerful ally Europe had hoped. Worse still, the increasingly intolerant Roman Catholic Church now deemed the Ethiopian sect of Christianity heretical. Their
Cursing Ham again. Over and over and over and over again. Then they helped them, was like, oh, this is not what we wanted, and enslaved them and the rest of Africa. Like, is anybody here? Then you should look up what Belgium and the Portuguese did to Africa and the Congo.
subsequent attempts to convert the people they once revered as ideal Christians would eventually spark a civil war, and in the 1630s, Ethiopia cut ties with Europe. Over the next 2 centuries, the legend of Prester John slowly faded into oblivion.
Being stolen over and over and over again. That man was crucified in Jerusalem, or wherever that land is called. And they have his bones and all this stuff. And then they start cloning people in the 50s and having all this stuff emerge and technology booming and everything else. I'm telling you all.
Ending the reign of a king who made history despite having never existed. We've all heard stories of
He doesn't exist, but they got John the Baptist in the Bible. They got Isa in the Quran. Judaism talks about Yochanan ben Zakkai. You guys can research that on your own. I got videos in my community from a long time ago. But I can look for it and try to link it up here. But yo, they are playing with African culture and history, and they are basically colonizing it over and over again since the days of before Pharaohs. Pharaohs didn't start until the Hyksos invaded Egypt. So I'm just trying to give out information to the best of my ability and search, and you will find the true truth. Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Now, a while ago, somebody was on a panel, and I heard them talking about somebody talking about dracons and dragons, and I thought it was this guy because he had dreads, but I could be wrong. Now, this is what I'm talking about. So a friend of mine or somebody came to my page and brought to my attention this guy, and I didn't think nothing about it until they started using names that was in my family, like my complete family. And I was like, why are names in my family all over this and that and other stuff? And people will say it's because you have biblical names. Okay, so I'm finna start showing you all what I'm talking about. This dude, I don't know what his name is. I don't know what's going on, but he's selling something called Prester Packs. He's telling people something about ancient locations and ice walls and firmaments, and he's talking about blacks were Germans and all this other, oh my fucking goodness, dude. Like, so this dude comes out 4 years ago. Anybody who's been watching me for the past 4 or 5 years and know all these videos I deleted, now he's talking about Khan in live videos 4 years ago. Okay, so then I go watch a video, and I'm going to bring up the title real quick because I'm starting to get freaked out. Now, I wouldn't say freaked out, but I'm starting to get irritated by something. Because this dude made a video, and this is what I'm talking about, Prester John. And there's a bunch of this stuff, and he's talking about how okay, so I was watching the video and he was bringing up all these weird names and talking about like the Congo. Most of my DNA is Congo. I'm genetically mostly Congo, and I've talked about this. I've talked about people going to Khan Academy to get legitimate science and education years ago, right? So then, not only that, people are now coming out talking about David and Jehobeam and Ado the super soldier. Like, dude, okay. So then I was like, okay, this is weird. So I watched how he mocked himself. Watch this. You go in the chat, Cuckoo Khan, Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? If you notice these abbreviations, all these people are saying KKK. So if I'm lying, and then if you go to this Prester John video, he's associating the swastika to Africa. Bro, if you don't stop mixing history, oh my goodness. So he's bringing up some This is what people will do. He's bringing up subtle little truths in history. I mean, tiny truths, like certain names of peoples and empires. Then he's adding all type of Greek philos philosophy. He is talking about ice walls and all this other foolish stuff, taking from a story he knows nothing about. People are selling stuff called Prester John packs online for $1,500 something. Like, bro, I know. So I just watched this content creator a moment ago. This guy, CS Speaks, talking about how people are literally just stealing content. And then I went to this guy too, how he's trying to build a business and do things with his own products and stuff he's trying to modify. But all of a sudden, all these lobbyists and people are attacking him. You should check these two videos out. And then I go further and I do, because I'm telling you guys, when I started gaming and really came out in Order and Chaos and a couple other games, there was no JB6s. I can make the name JB6 without a problem. Now I can't get on a platform without seeing J's and B's everywhere. Am I saying this is a problem? No. But based on what I am learning, it feels like people are, this man brought up a good point. Like, if you go throughout history and if you go throughout time, or even in this day and age, you can't do anything because of because the way they set up a system of copyrights, laws, and all this other stuff. I've told you all before, African Americans have made music and did things. Then people either bought them out, bought their company, or bought everything, or changed laws, and then everything they got, they couldn't even use and or talk about anymore. I'm telling you. I'm seeing him talk about how different content creators like Gideon and a bunch of other people are taking content. Now, you want to know the irony of that? All of a sudden, Gideon and a bunch of other people, I brought him up, Don Reborn and all these other people are Christians now. But who started doing that 3-4 years ago? I'm telling you all, somebody is stealing and leeching. And then the people that create, they're trying to deem mad. So, I don't know how deep and far this is going. This dude is infuriating me. Because not only is he mixing up history, but he's lying about everything with every step. And I'll give you some leeway. Let's say this man was telling the truth, and you watched this video about what he's talking about. And so look here, he's having African Semitics all in this David stuff and all in this. So what I will tell you all is, let's say he's even correct. Let's say this is hypothetical. Let's say he was correct and he was some free dude. And now he's like saying, I'm going to free a bunch of people. If I am the freedom, this is metaphorical. If a person was somewhere freeing people, why would you give the location, the map of everything, and all this other stuff? Then people will be like, why are these different civilizations stealing and learning where stuff is? Then I get on YouTube and I find Peter. This dude's telling everybody all type of crazy stuff that isn't true. And he's mixing history into it to glorify the Romans. I promise you he is. And the Greeks. It may seem like he's, oh, I'm helping Africa. I promise you he's not. He has given all types of misinformation from the Pope. Because any of these Davids and Johns and all this other stuff, if he wanted to know true history, he'd go to history. But no, what's he doing? In the book of Prester John chapter blah, blah, blah. What the fuck does that even mean? Then I'm seeing people say in the book of Yasharorel, the book of Yahawasha. Man, okay, so I don't know. What I got, because it's relief and it's angering. Now a bunch of African people or African descent people are going to go around saying KKK, Ku Khan. Where does Khan even come from? Y'all don't know nothing about history and y'all are playing and stealing people's content. So, y'all want to keep playing in buffoonery? Because if you go to the ancientest of ancient videos, radio, music, then all of a sudden, this dude gets into religion and politics 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. Interesting. So, I don't fully know what people want from me. You know, I just made a video called The Human Verse. Everything else seems to get copywritten, but you guys could check that out if you want, because people are like literally robbing people, and I can't necessarily figure out what or how or what's going on. But from the standpoint that I have, a bunch of lobbyists and people in corporations in different high places are stealing and robbing from people's minds, so to speak, and then making it seem like they are bad. So I don't know. I'm going into different people's chats like the Hodge twins and Candace Owens and other people, and their comments scare the crap out of me. Like, do you guys not understand if this type of behavior, like I can't even. So I don't know. This isn't conspiracy anymore. This is blatantly playing out in the open. Many people are coming out talking about it all of a sudden. So I'm happy that they're doing that. But all this, you know what I call this dude? If I can call those other people biblical cosplay, this dude is like Lord of the Rings, bro. Because if I go to this dude's, look at this. This is not African. So I'm going to, because the irony is, you got Europeans saying we were that we were the superiors and giving the real history step to step, but they're hiding it. Then you got this dude out in the open who's African, who's destroying our legacy. I don't understand. So I'm gonna show y'all something really, really crazy. K Dot, right? K Dot all of a sudden is a huge star, right? Who is K Dot and where did K Dot first come from? Because I'm tired of people playing with me, man. You guys watch my old videos. You will see a character named K Dots. This dude was one of my best friends when PvPing. He's even in some of my comments somewhere. I think I deleted the video where he's in my comments. But if you watch a couple of these war videos, you will see K Dot running around with a bow and arrow, hunting people with the warrior. So I don't know what to tell. Now K Dot's running around everywhere. It's mind fucked, dude. So good luck. And all this patenting and stealing from people and then creating copyrights and stuff. I don't know. You guys want to know about some con? Go here. Academy. People are butchering stuff. Where does Kanye come from? Goofy mother. This. You don't have to go to their videos because it's scattered and stuff. Go to their playlists. When you go to their playlists, they have playlists for electromagnetism, forces, gravity, what is computer science. You can learn how to program through them, dude. I'm telling you. At the elementary level. They have the basics and this stuff for free from my perception and knowledge. And I've told people they have from 8th grade all the way to elemental mathematics and stuff. So learn stuff, grow. Even as I've told you all, there's two sides to every coin. As much as I've talked about Bill Gates, the dude has done great things in computer technology and gathering engineers to do smart computer technological things. Because I'm sick and tired of people figureheading all these great scientists working, and they're like, scientists haven't invented nothing for blah, blah years. Yeah, what the fuck ever. Anyways, enjoy your lives and good luck.